Ritchie, despite his very good looks, has had 40 years in industry. And I'm very keen to hear his experience. He's going to give a little bit of lowdown behind what he is, what he does, how he's involved in property, but also we're going to learn a lot from this exercise. So please give a massive round of applause to Ritchie Clapson, Property CEO.
Big build-up, wasn't it? Come to Birmingham, they said. Have a great time, they said. They'll all be back after lunch on time, he said. Where were you? Come on, this is an afternoon session. You've got to enjoy this. What do you think of my good looks, eh? Don't look that old, do I? What are you laughing for? That's not a joke. That was serious. You don't start laughing straight away. Well, it's good to be here. Yeah, we had a few techie problems as well because I had to bring my own kit. I'm a bit of a prima donna like that. I know Ranjan wanted his M&Ms sorted out this morning into different colours and he was out in his Winnebago, but I just had my own kit, so we had to play around with a bit of that. But I think it's all going to work. I'm going to be talking this afternoon. They gave me this title, Treasure Hunt, and it was looking for gold in property and gold in relationships. But I think the gold in relationships has already been done. We've done that to death this morning. So we're just going to be adding a few extra bits in about looking for gold in property. Okay? Interested in that? Yeah. Everyone happy with that? Yeah. I mean, that's all I've got. It's for 2 hours, okay? If at the back we could lock the doors, because I don't want anyone escaping. There is 2 hours of this, and you're going to enjoy it, okay? You're going to enjoy it. You got that? Yeah. You're definitely going to enjoy it. None of this falling asleep. If anyone falls asleep, especially Damien at the front here, who we know quite well, normally falls asleep in an afternoon slot, then I'll be over. You'll be picked out. So, look at that. Clicker doesn't work straight away. What a great bit of technology. Doesn't matter. We'll be on it. Let's take that out, plug that back in, see if it works now. It doesn't work. Don't panic. You're not up the front here trying to present. I am. So let me click on there. Let me just see if that works. Now, here we go. So what I'm going to be talking about. Sorry? No, I've got it now. It's all working now. But I might need you in a minute when it gets technical. Okay, excellent. I'm going to be talking about achieving success in small-scale property development. And that's just not because I'm short, okay? We're going to be talking about small-scale development. We're going to be talking about what I mean by small-scale and why that's important. Why that is so important in whatever you're doing, in my opinion. Why you should go for permitted development. That was talked about this morning. Ranjan talked about that, and I'm going to emphasise a bit more of that. And then we're going to be talking about looking for gold in property. And I am allowed to move around. These white lines were restrictive for other people, but I'm allowed to wander up and down, apparently. I think I'm going to be okay with that. So that is me. I'm a chartered structural engineer by profession. I've been in industry now nearly 40 years. Award-winning in terms of, we did a lot of award-winning stuff. We were right at the top of our game, invited by the government to peer review the Olympic Stadium, National Aquatics and Velodrome in 2012, as well as designing things like Wimbledon retracting roof. None of that stuff made money. It was development that made money, and it was feeding off the back of development that made money. I retired 10 years ago, and for my sins, I now come here. Someone said the other day, why do you spend time with us? Why do you do this? Why don't you spend time with your family? Anyone met them? Love them to bits. Is this being recorded? Just cut that bit out. We can edit that. Actually, did you know I was at the property, I often go off-piste every now and then, don't worry about it. I was talking at the Property Investors Show the other week, and I went down, and someone was filming, and I said, are you filming? And she said, yes. I said, I'm not supposed to be here. My wife doesn't know. Guess what? I got home. Someone had posted that on social media, and my wife had seen it. She said, where were you? I said, I was in London Excel. She said, right answer. So I retired 10 years ago, and I do this because I love it. Okay, I do this. This is pretty much all I do now. I love it. I know it's crazy, but I do. I quite like teaching people. I like working with people. So that's what I do. I just teach people to do development. So let's talk about achieving success, because that's what you want. You want to be successful, because this is difficult. I know some of you are probably quite established in property, but some of you are probably brand new, and this is difficult stuff. Who'd like to make £250,000 a year? Would that change? Whose life would that change? Would it change your life? Yeah. What if you lost £250,000? Would that change your life?
Yeah,
seriously. Yeah, it would, wouldn't it? You wouldn't like that. So this is important because you can easily lose £250,000 in development, easily. So you've got to get it right. You are looking for success. And there's some skills. I want to start with this. There's skills that you need to be a developer. And I'm going to talk to you about my opinion of how I think you should become a developer. Okay? Don't jump ahead. With Damien and I have worked together for a while, so don't keep saying what's going to be on the next slide, okay? You'll be thrown out if you are. You need some organisational skills. Anyone got any organisational skills? Have you? Yeah? I'm guessing you have because you've all rocked up here today. You've organised your way here, okay? Anyone got any management skills? Yes. Yeah. Okay. You managed to get yourself dressed? Wouldn't have been a good event otherwise. That would have taken on a completely different meaning, wouldn't it? Imagine if we're all stood here naked. That would be awful, wouldn't it? Wouldn't be good. And then decision-making skills. Well, you decided to come. You decided to go to lunch. You decided to come back for the afternoon session. I'm assuming you have decision-making skills. And most importantly, Rob and Simon talked about this before lunch, people skills. That is the single most important set of skills that you need, because everything else can be sorted. Everything else can be sorted. Andy was talking about it as well this morning, and that was interesting. He talked about his background in bomb disposal, and Rob was talking about it being in the police force. It's people skills. That is the single most important thing. If you're not very good at that, improve it. Network like mad out in the breaks. But those are the only skills you need to become a property developer and be successful. And then you need to act as a CEO. You need to be the chief executive officer of a company. This is how you make success of being a property development. And I can give you an analogy. Let's not get political, but let's talk about the cabinet ministers. So just consider the minister in charge of defence. They've got tanks and guns and army, and they're in charge of those people. And then what does Boris do? He moves them to health. So they're in charge of the COVID vaccine and hospitals with beds and medicines and doctors. Now, without being political, do you think that cabinet minister knew anything about defence? Do you think he or she knew anything about health? So how do they do that job? How do they make it successful? Well, one would assume, not political, we said, not political. One would assume that they've got ministerial skills. That's what they've got. They run the department. They have a group of advisors around them, underneath them, that tell them what to do, give them ideas, and they then make the decisions. They manage, they organise. They've got great people skills. Do you get that? That's how you become successful at being a developer. That's how you become successful. It's being the CEO of a company. You sit at the top of the tree. Bit of secret sauce is the NEA on the right. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But beneath you, you've got a project manager. How many's got buy-to-lets? How many's done the refurbishment of the buy-to-lets? How many people know plumbers, electricians, and all those sorts of things? Waste of time, isn't it? They're a nightmare, those people. They all blame each other. Well, I've had people come to me and talk about getting trained, and they go, it's okay, I've got my whole team. I've got electricians, I've got plasterers, I've got plumbers, I've got bricklayers, I've got the whole team. I am ready to go. I said, you don't need any of them. The last thing I want to do, with no disrespect, I don't want to do with plumbers arguing with electricians and plasterers and painters. I'd let the contractor do that. Let him sort that out. Because they never turn up when they're supposed to, do they? They're a nightmare. I don't want to be involved in that. And actually, maybe I don't want to be involved with the architect, structural engineer. I can to an extent, but I don't want to be involved necessarily in detail. Andy was talking about some of this stuff this morning. You need to know enough. You need to know, I think Simon talked about this, you need to know what you don't know. But you need to know enough to control them. What you don't want to become is a planning consultant. Who would like to become a planning consultant? Good answer. That's right, you don't. If Linda was here, do you know why probably Linda's not here? She's probably been up all night reading the Town and Country Planning Act, trying to find amendments. But that's the sort of geeky people they are. Let them become geeks. You don't want to become geeks, do you? No? Ever think about it? Yeah, maybe. You don't. You need to act in this position. Alongside you, imagine if you had someone with many, many years' experience as an advisor sat there that you could ask questions to. Maybe that's something like UKPA and their advisory board sat alongside you. Maybe it's an individual. But this is important. That's how you want to be thinking about being successful. Property development is not a strategy. First property networking meeting I went to, someone said to me, so what strategy do you do? Sorry? You're in the strategy. What strategy are you into? Rent to rent, buy to let, commercial conversion? That's all BS. I'm a developer. I develop. I don't have a strategy. I might niche, but don't get sucked into this world of what strategy you're doing. Because actually you want to become a developer. Do you not want to develop anything that you can develop? You want to develop opportunities. Susie's going to be talking later about commercial property. And that was touched on a bit this morning. I think Ranjan touched on it. It's really important that you can look at any opportunity out there. You want to become a developer. Interesting enough, my business partner, Ian is not, well, he's a developer now, but he wasn't. And he first came to me, saw me speak at an event, and he came up to me when I used to train people just privately, and he said, would you train me? And I said, maybe. And his question, he said, I have a question for you. How can you get me credibility as a developer? And I said, credibility? Yeah, I said, what do you do? His background was corporate finance, marketing, branding. I said, no chance. He said, well, that's what I want. I don't give a damn what you want. So if I went into your world, finance, how long is it to get credibility? He said, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I said, so what makes you think you're going to rock up in my world and get credibility instantly? That's what I want. I don't care what you want, because you won't get it. There were some comments earlier, I think Simon and Rob made it. Don't BS. Don't go out and blag, because you'll get caught out quite quickly. But you can establish instant credibility by being a CEO of a property development company. Anyone heard of that fella, entrepreneurial guy? What's his name? Richard Branson. What did he start last year? Anyone remember? Top prizes at stake on this one. Do you remember Simon promised prizes? I never saw those prizes. Did anyone see the prizes? He started a cruise company, didn't he? That was a bad mistake, wasn't it? He started a cruise company. But he went out. Did anyone say to him when he was getting the boat, ship, whatever it's called, I don't know. Anyone say, so what do you know about boats? He didn't sit round there and say, what do you know about boats? How big's the engine? How many rooms do you have? He doesn't know, does he? He has a bunch of advisors. Where's his credibility as a CEO? And that's the credibility that you need to establish. And just think about it. If you went into the room, okay? So James here. James, do you want to play along?
Sure.
Role play?
Yeah.
No dressing up required, okay? So James here is going to be our new developer. He hasn't got a clue. He hasn't got any experience at all. In fact, he's a little bit thick.
I can do that.
It's just how you cast them, isn't it? It is perfect. So what James is going to do, he's going to go into the room. There he is, and he's going to try and get funding. Who do you think is a really intelligent person that would offer like a funder in the room? This guy's got glasses. That's always intelligent. Would you be our funder? Yeah? So you're going to be the funder. You're going to offer lend him money. Well, you don't particularly want to, because look at him. No, there's no hope there, is there? I should have chosen someone else. So you say to James, okay, tell me about your project, James.
Tell me about your project.
No, don't have to do, actually. I'm just saying that we haven't got time to do the whole thing. Did you go to drama school? Yeah, you did, didn't you? I reckon you did. So what you'd have is you'd have all these people around you. So if you said to James, tell me how long it's going to take, you'd ask your project manager. This guy here, he's a project manager. Looks quite intelligent as well, doesn't he? Okay. So this guy, he's your project manager. He turns to the funder and says, it's going to take about 14 months. You're happy with that, aren't you? Because he's a project manager. He's got 20 years' experience. Just a young fella, okay? Young at heart, anyway. And then you might say to James, okay, tell me about the scheme. Have you got planning? So you're going to turn to your planning consultant. Would you like to be a planning consultant?
Yes, sir.
Are you a planning consultant? I thought you were showing me that like you're a planning consultant. So how do you pronounce your name?
Shoaib.
Shoaib. Okay, Shoaib's a planning consultant. So when you ask, has it got planning permission, Shoaib's going to say, actually, it's got PD rights, Class G. Ranjit was talking about those this morning. So Ranjan, sorry. So you can answer that. That's good. It's been answered. What about the costs? Do you want to be the cost consultant? No, you don't want to be the cost consultant. It's going to be difficult all afternoon, aren't you? You are the cost consultant. I'm not asking you because you're going to be difficult as well. So if you were the cost consultant, all you've got to say is, well, can you tell the cost of this? And you tell them. You've got all those people at your disposal. Imagine how credible you're going to be. Because you're using your management, decision, organisation, and people skills. Doesn't work on this fellow. He doesn't want to get involved. Do you get it? That's how you get credibility. And it's about looking at anything in development. But it's also about sticking to small-scale development. And why? Why is it? Well, let me tell you a very brief story. 2020, this is pretty much how it was. Two developers, I know, seasoned developers. One had a project with about £1 million profit. All his project was out on site, virtually finished, but not finished. Guess what happened? The whole site shut down. Virtually maximum funding. He was at home with a glass of wine, a little bit stressed. Another developer. She had 4 projects. This is more or less what it was. One was about £250,000 profit, sold out, money in the bank. Another one, okay, has actually started on site. Unfortunately, it's got that problem. It's held up. It's just one. It's just 1/4 of the whole thing. Another one is literally just started on site, no real money out. Fourth one's not even started. She was sat home with a glass of wine, but she had £250,000 in the bank. Who was less stressed? So if you hear these sayings, go big, go big or go home, go large, forget it. It's about management of risk. That is so important. This is what I want you to do if you're going to get into development. And I say, stick in that region. I said $250,000, 150 to 250,000. And if you want $500,000, do 2 projects or 3 and so on. So that's typically, depending where you are, could be 3/4, 1.25, 1.5 million, depending where you are in the country. 18 to 24 months, you're normally quite quick in and out. It doesn't take long to get through those projects. So should the world change? I mean, does the world change? We wouldn't have said that a few years ago, would we? But we would now. So if the world changes, you're ready. Relatively quick in and out. It minimises risk. This is difficult. This can lose you a lot of money. Do you know, actually, I'll tell you another little story. And this was, I was about to present at an event somewhere, I can't remember where it was now, and the night before, someone who was going to that event said, oh, we've got a session on development tomorrow, no point paying for expensive training, you can pretty much Google everything you want about being a developer. Okay, there's a lot out there. Did anyone mention Ranjan's got a YouTube channel? Has anyone mentioned that? I'm going to give him a plug every now and then. I might even watch it tonight if I'm bored. So he's gone, I can get away with it. But what I did that night before, I Googled open heart surgery. It's all there. There's videos, there's stuff you can do, which bits you've got to cut, stitch up. There's all sorts of stuff there. And at the presentation I said, would you let me do some open heart surgery on you? Of course you wouldn't. Stupid, isn't it? It's ridiculous. I could kill you. I can tell you. If you lose £250,000, that could kill you. On a serious note, I mean, a lot of people who've lost a lot of money in life, depression kicks in, and depression is a terrible, terrible thing if you lose a lot of money. I've been there. I lost £500,000 for someone who did a runner on me in 2016. It's not good. It's not good for this thing. So don't do it. This is why I want you to stick. I want you to minimise risk in whatever you do. Who employs staff? Either in this life or a previous life. What a nightmare, isn't it? I used to have staff. They used to come in crying. All of the guys and the girls come in crying. You become a social worker, don't you? That you don't want. You started in an industry to do something, and you end up becoming a social worker. Oh, my dog's died. Can I have a couple of days off? Or this? Yeah, whatever. You know, it's horrendous. So just imagine when you do small-scale property development, you don't need any staff. Hey. That's good. You don't want staff. Leveraging, outsourcing is key. If you go larger, you end up with a big team of people. One of the things we do, as this man will well know, we get people to do a business plan. And I remember someone once put in their 5-year business plan. It's a one-page sheet we used. They put in there, in the next 5 years, I want this great big glass office with a conference room and all my team out there. Really? Do you want that? I'd rather just work down the bottom of the garden in a nice home office. Why do you want all these people? Ego, talked about it this morning. Andy talked about ego. You don't want that ego trip. You don't. And have development in what I call the need market, not the want. Now, you guys are working in the need market. You're working in social housing. One of the reasons I got on board when Guy invited me to be part of the advisory board is I like the cause. I like what you guys were doing here. But the need market is 1, 2, 3 bed properties. Anything above that is want. We can put all the kids in bunk beds. We can get loads of them in bunk beds. It's fine. Don't work in the want market. Work in the need market. It's where you always sell everything. And 5 to 20 units is where there is less competition. Below 5, that's the builders. Local builders will work in those areas. And they're by what we call hospital projects, okay, where they just keep their guys going. They're not looking for profit. Above 20, the regional players. 5 to 20 is the sweet spot you want to be in. Then why should you go for permitted development? Well, that was talked about this morning. Ranjan talked about permitted development. And I think it's important. I think it's really important. The UK planning system is broken. It's a mess. It's a shame that Linda's not here. She would probably confirm that. It is a mess. It is completely broken. And you can't, and it's interesting, there was a discussion this morning, I think actually Rob might have mentioned it, talk to the planning officer, build a relationship. You haven't got a hope in hell of talking to them. They don't want to talk to you. You can't even get to them. That's a problem. If you could, that would be great. But you can't. And for some reason, they all have a little chip thing on their shoulder. I don't know what it is about us greedy developers. Even if we're doing good and providing social housing, they still seem to have this problem with us. So the system is broken. It really is. Who would like to do a site, honestly, hands up, take a nice greenfield site where you think you've got the opportunity to get planning and you can get it for a good deal? And you maybe could put 4 or 5 houses on it. Who'd like to do that site? Honest? Right, no. Who put your hands up again? Right, I'll see you all afterwards. Don't do it. It is suicide. You don't want to be going down that road, okay? Now, I do have students that are developing land deals. That's fine. But if I push you away enough, if you go and do it, you'll know why. You'll know why you're doing it, and you're in for a longer haul. Yes, you can make good money out of it, but it takes you a long time. So if it's your first deal, do not do it. Do not do it, otherwise I'll be round. I'm only a little fella, but I can get quite cross. Seriously, you don't want to do it. Who would like to do this deal, though? Let's say a bit of land, because the planning system's broken. It's a bit of land, it's got planning permission for 4 houses. Who'd like to do that deal? It's a good price. It's a steal. More of you? Yeah? You put your hand up, put it straight down, because no one else is. Anyone who'd like to do that? Yeah? Quite a few of you. It's a good price. You do all of them. No, you're not. Why? Are you just trying to be awkward to me this afternoon? We're not after controversy. We got enough of that with this fella at the front who's been awkward all the time he's been sat here. Do you know? Don't waste time. Do not waste time on schemes with planning. Do you know why? No money. Someone else has taken the money out of it. And guess who wins that deal normally? Guess who wins it? It's the one who got their numbers wrong. That's who normally wins it. Someone like you out there who's got their numbers wrong. Don't waste time. You're better than that. You're more creative. Where are you adding value? Well, I've done my numbers. The numbers look really good. If you're not adding anything, there's nothing smart about that, is there? You want to be smart. You want to be clever. That's why you're here. And why not take the path of least resistance? Why climb up right over the top of that difficult hill, down the other side, when actually you could just walk around it? Because if you can make £250,000 a year doing something easy, would you not do that? Unless you lot are mad. I mean, Sarah's a bit mad. We know that. We can accept that. Okay? She even accepts it. But we're not all Sarah, are we? You can't go. I'm on the best bit now. Look, she just walked out. The best bit's coming. Unbelievable. Take the path of least resistance. We've talked about it this morning. Permitted developments out there. We talked about this Class E, and I think the really important bit, and I know Susie's going to talk about this a little bit later, is all of those uses can be interchanged. Ranjan talked a bit about it this morning as well. That is a terrific opportunity to move around within those opportunities. And actually, I often talk about converting offices to offices. And people say, what are you talking about? Offices to offices. Yeah, converting an office to an office is a great opportunity. It really is. Pod offices. Anyone seen any of the articles I've written in the press about pod offices? I think it's a terrific opportunity. Talk to me in the break if you're more interested in that. But offices reconfigured for a new use. Retail, co-industrial, different types of uses. The world is changing. The market's disrupted. And it was talked about this morning. What a great opportunity when there's disrupted markets. Ranjan talked about that. That is absolutely a perfect statement. It is the time now. So don't get restricted just by, commercial to residential. Lots of other opportunities exist. If you get offered a deal, but you can't get it into resi for whatever reason, think what else you can do with it. Think about the new office, commercial, retail offering that you could put into the marketplace. And all of those, we talked about it this morning, Class MA and Class G is out there. Okay, really important. And we've all seen the shops in our towns and cities that are shut down. We've seen the banks. Now, banks are quite difficult sometimes to convert. How do we convert a bank? It's got a vault. What do we do with it? But they're great buildings when you know how. Terrific opportunities. And actually, some of the agents know about some of this stuff, but banks have only just crept into this because banks were limited to 150 square metres. Now they come under MA. And a lot of these commercial agents aren't that savvy to spot that. So some banks are really good value. And so many banks are offloading. Do you know, I went to the bank the other day. Unbelievable. Went into the bank. I queued up for 15 minutes and I wanted to draw about £1,000 out. Oh, no, I'm sorry, sir, she said. We're a cashless bank. A cashless bank. I said, so you don't have any cash here? She said, no, you can pay some cash in, sir, if you'd like. I said, I want to draw cash out. I know, sir. I had 7 miles I had to drive for a bank with cash in it. We've gone mad. Apparently the internet's the future. It's going to be brilliant. Cafes and restaurants, they're shut down in our areas. We can do stuff with those. Offices. Who thought all the great office opportunities were taken? Come on, be honest. Who thought, oh, someone had all those years ago? Still look a complete dishonest lot you do. No one's putting their hand up in case they get picked on. There's a lot of people say, oh, no, there's no office opportunities around. There always is. The session before lunch about building rapport, people skills, is the most important thing. That's where you get deals. One of the things I was going to talk about, which we're not going to now because we're going to put more time into this other stuff, was about building that rapport with agents. When I talked and stood up, because my table elected me to, rotten bunch, okay, I talked about getting that rapport again. And there's a great thing. If you've lost rapport, so if I'm talking to James, and if I've lost rapport, don't do anything else until I get it back. I have to get it back. I have to re-find it. And then go on again. If you've lost rapport and he's disinterested, you're not going to get anywhere. But actually now, the date stamp on offices has gone from 2013 to 2020. There are 7 years worth of offices that previously people weren't looking at that now you can. Clinics and health centres. That was easy to say, wasn't it? Clinics and health centres, I'll say that again. Day nurseries, they're all out there. Gymnasiums, light industrial. All of these buildings are out there, and you can convert all of those. It is a great opportunity. It's where you should be focusing. It is the path of least resistance. It is the minimisation of risk. Because all of this is hard work. So let's just make it a little easier. Let's just make it a little easier. So looking for gold. Because everyone's out there. It's busy, isn't it? Oh, you've got to get deals. How are you guys going to get deals? What are you going to do that's different to other people? And one of the things I often talk about, it's not just finding a building. Because that in itself, welcome back. Do you want me to just rerun back what we talked about? Are you going to catch up? You'll be all right? No worries. You can find a building, and it's difficult to actually find a property. That takes quite a long time. You think, I've got one now, it's great. But what do you do with it? It's not just finding a building, it's actually knowing what to do with that building. You're going to do an exercise in a minute because you can see you've got flip charts around. It gets you working after lunch. Otherwise, you're just going to sit and look at me and drop off in a minute. Can't have that. Okay? So, it is knowing what to do with a building. Because I tell you, I did an exercise once with a bunch of students, similar sized room, set them all up, showed them a little project, some of the sort of things that Ranjan had this morning. Said, have a look at that. Did an exercise, they came back, all said, no, it's not a deal, won't go ahead. Said, no one wants to bid on it, no one wants to bid. I showed them how we turned it into a £250,000 profit deal. Just by knowing what to do with it. And it's not just knowing the PD rules. It's knowing how to sweat an asset. It's knowing what to do with something. I put a couple of extra slides in here. Just because I know Ranjan talked about it this morning. I think he was going to talk about this, so I'm going to put this in because I think this is important. Two things I want to cover here in place of some of the other stuff we were. You know this Class G, which now applies not to retail, but it applies to lots of other uses, where you can put 2 flats over. Everyone aware of that? Should be, because Ranjan talked about it this morning. So you can take a shop unit, over the top of that you can build 2 flats, all under PD. And if you're not controversial, because I know we had a question this morning, I think it was from yourself, sir, about planning and sometimes getting through PD. If you're not controversial with it, then you're going to be okay. Is when you do something controversial, if you're going to start changing the elevations in a controversial way, if you want to paint it pink on the outside, those can become difficult. But actually, if you just tick all the simple boxes, you will get a straightforward PD application through. And shops and uppers, or restaurants and uppers, or banks and uppers work really well. I don't suggest you want to use Class G always in a listed building, which you can, because you can use that sometimes over Class MA, but there are ways that you can do these things together. So that does have some restrictions, but are you aware, or most people may be aware, maybe not, that you can actually split that into 2 shops? And guess what permission you have to ask for to turn that into 2 shops? Anyone? Who do you have to ask permission from? No one. No. You are the landlord, because you own it. So you can turn it into 2 shops. So how many flats can we have above it? 4. You're good at maths, aren't you? Almost tripped over then. That'd have been funny, wouldn't it? Whenever I face planted the carpet as I was walking past the screen. What if you turned that into 3 shops? 6. And so on. playing the rules. You can turn that. I don't mind if I want to turn that. I mean, okay, that one's not quite big enough. That's a Thornton's chocolate shop as well. I love chocolate. But you can turn that into as many as you want. What about this little trick? Gets a bit clunky when I move things around, but I'm just going to bring up a drawing screen here. Let me, the mouse doesn't work very well on these reflective tables, but what about this? Anyone know this little wheeze? Okay. So here's a shop building here, okay. There it is, there's the roof, goes down a bit like that. Maybe it was extended out the back like that. There it is, there's a cross section. There's me, stood out in the street, a lot taller than what I am, okay. So there we are. There's a big shop. Well, you know, over the top of that, you can put 2 flats. Everyone knows that? Yeah, nice and simple. But what we could also do, let's assume this was a listed building. We can't use Class MA downstairs. We can't use Class MA downstairs. But can we use Class G? What's the rules on Class G? Anyone know? Be brave. It's above the retail space.
Do you raise the floor level?
Just raise the floor level. So all I'm going to do is put a wall up there, and I've raised that floor level just by a bit of insulation, by about 100, 150 mil. That level there is above the shop level. A wheeze. It's good, isn't it? That's all you have to do. So imagine how good that is. And actually, what if we say, well, actually, what we don't want to do, there's nothing in here for shops, but because it's in a conservation area, they want us to have shops. Well, what about build the shop wall there? So what we're going to do, we're going to take that across to there. There's my shop, it's in there. Little Amazon locker room. Or a display window that you can just sell to someone. It doesn't matter if you don't do anything with it. Give it to a local charity. Tell them to put something in the window. That satisfies the PD rules. Bit controversial? Well, it just satisfies the rules. That's the rules. There's the shop. It's above the level. Like that? Yeah. We might start paying attention to this guy now. Maybe he has got something useful to say. Those are the sort of things you want to know. Those are the sort of things. But what about the hidden opportunities? Where are what I think is probably the best place to find deals? Now, there was a chance that this presentation might not go ahead this afternoon because there's one set of buildings in that list which I think is probably the hidden opportunity, and it's there. But Damien said to me this morning, you're not going to talk about that. Why are you telling other people about that? Just keep it to ourselves. This is, I think, one of the hidden opportunities. I was talking to Ranjan, he said, I first come across you several years ago when you were banging on about it, then they dropped the PD rights, but now they've come back. Under Class MA, you can convert light industrial buildings into residential. But the problem? Most people don't know how to do it. Most people don't know how to convert these buildings. Light industrial is an industrial use building used in a residential area where it doesn't harm or cause any detriment to the local people. Could be a building like that, but how would you convert that? Where would you begin? How would you convert that one? My favourite shot there is the 2 lampposts. Look at the new one. They put that one in level. The old one. What about that one? It's a gem, isn't it? How would you convert that? And then my favourite, and I often say this one's great. Do you know why that one's great? This one saves you money. Do you know why? No, it's landscaped. What's the matter with it? It's rectangle. It's true. And there's a gas canister outside, so the heating's already in. But that is a little gem, because most people look at that. Oh, I don't know what to do with that. Most existing developers don't know what to do with these things, because most existing developers haven't trained. They've just come from the school of hard knocks. They know what they know. They just do what they do. Buildings like this present great opportunities. Would you like to know how to convert one of those buildings? Oh, that's extra. That's an extra cost. We can just give this stuff away, can we? Okay, so, oh my word, workshop. That's difficult, isn't it? First of all, let's have the first task. On your tables, right in front of you, because we want competition. I'm not interested in north-south divide. That was a bit harsh this morning, wasn't it? I don't know why they did that. And that guy's quite a big fella as well, so I'm not going to pick on him.
Whoa, it's a big lunch.
It's a big lunch. No, I meant tall. I didn't whatever. What on your tables? You've got a little piece of card. You've got a Sharpie. You've got one of these little things that they have at weddings. Can you get a team name? 2 minutes, come up with a team name. Make it creative for your table and pop it in there. Okay? Team name, go. 2 minutes, quickly.
West Country Warriors. I was thinking,
What?
You know what we're going for.
What, London?
Yeah.
it was not my idea.
Be creative with your name. And by the way, some of the special team at the back table are going to come and join your tables. So these are really, really clever people. Ish. Now this isn't your most difficult task. You have 20 seconds left. Okay. Right, let's just see how creative you folks are. I'll put it in a thing for you, don't worry about that. I've just got all the speaking and controlling the slides. Don't worry about it, you sit comfortable. Believable, isn't it? Leverage, he's taken this thing to heart, isn't he? I can't get it in here now. Don't worry, I'm going to sort this out in a minute. Sunshine. Why?
First word that came into our head.
Was it? Really? Maybe you should have spent a bit longer. That's good, though. The West Wing. Why? I'm not sure it deserved a cheer, but why the West Wing?
Well, for the southwest.
Oh, okay, very good. Like it. What have you got? Northern Monkeys and Friends.
Bit of a mixed bunch.
I think it's a mixed bunch, isn't it?
No stereotypes, though.
It's embarrassing, isn't it? Creative Industries. Who thought of that? Whose idea? Was that yours? Creative. Yeah. It's very good. It's very good. I like it. I mean, that's probably the best one so far. What have you? There's no F in ideas. You're just embarrassing yourselves now, aren't you? Go on outside and have a word with yourself. What do you folks got here? East Anglia Angels. Ooh, that's the best you got. Ooh. What about this? Oh, table of one. They left you on your own.
Yeah, I would like that.
He's not playing. He's not playing. And you guys, finally, last but not least, Southern Comfort. Oh, okay. Is that you? Recovering. That's why we had that thing. You know, my name's Ritchie. Hello, Ritchie. That's what it is, isn't it? Yeah, good stuff. Right, so you're going to spend some time now in your teams. Everyone happy with your teams? Look around your table. Anyone want to change tables? Do it discreetly. Okay, there's a deal. Now, some of you might have some laptops or phones. You've got to look that deal up. And do you notice you've got a flip chart next to you? Now, you've also got on your table a scale rule. Okay? Does everyone know how to use a scale rule? Right? If you need some batteries for it, let me know. I can put some new ones in. So, you've got a flip chart. Your flip chart is over here because we thought you could do with the exercise, this front table. And what I want you to do, I'm going to give you half an hour. Okay? Half an hour. And I want you to work out what you're going to do with that building. We're going to convert it. Or aren't we? Maybe you're going to tell me we can't. Maybe you're going to tell me we can't. There's the building. There's the address. That's what it looks like. Kingsway, Luton. So, you're interested in doing that as a workshop? I'm going to have a lie down for half hour. And you guys are going to see what you can do with that building. There's some dimensions. Would it help if I gave you a floor plan? Okay. I should give you a floor plan. You have half an hour. And within half an hour, I want you to draw on your flip charts the scheme and how many units you've got in there. Okay? All up for that? Who thinks this is going to be a breeze? Okay. Who has got an advisory board member on the table? Advisory board members, put your hands up. Or main founding board members? Founding board members? That's you, yeah. I'll just let you know you were there at the beginning, apparently. Well, guys, you are at a massive disadvantage because these guys haven't got a clue. Half an hour, off you go. I'm going to come round and see how you're getting on. Here's a drawing. Have a look at that. There's a couple of them. You're going to have to work out how to scale that. You're going to have to work out how many units you can get into it. Space standards you have to comply with. A one-bedroom flat is 37 square metres. One-bedroom flat, 37 square metres. Two is 61. That's a one bed with a shower room. And don't forget, Ranjan talked about it this morning, you have to have adequate natural light into all habitable rooms. So you've got to get natural light into the lounge and the bedroom. Okay, that is important. And the other thing you cannot have windows overlooking other people's properties. And I don't want you to knock it down and rebuild it or extend it up under Class ZA. Okay. Back in your seats, pens down. Wow. Shh. Come on, you excitable lot. Let's settle down. Tricky, wasn't it? Half an hour. Shall we see what people have done, first of all? Shall we see what they've come up with in terms of hidden opportunities? So we've got can you just pay attention to that table over there? Just because you're founding members, you don't chat. Come on, just behave. What are they like, those two?
What can you say?
That's outrageous, isn't it? Yeah. So you're in teams, okay? Who do you think is the best team? You are. Okay, so this is your chance to have a go at the other teams. We've got some rules here. Okay, we've got to see how many flats we can get in. So if they haven't done very well, we can do a woo or something like that. And the rules are, okay, under permitted development right, not knocking it down. We're going to work within the existing building, assuming we've got permitted development rights. So we've got to work within the existing space. We've got to get adequate natural light into all habitable rooms. We can't overlook other people's properties. And if people start doing that on their presentations, which are going to be pretty good looking around the room, then you need to shout out. We need to knock them down. It's a dog-eat-dog world. We need a bit of that this afternoon, in a friendly way, okay? You can, under PD rights, just change the use class. That's the controversial thing, changing it from industrial, if that's what it is, question mark, over to residential. Once you've got that permission in place, or you know you've got that permission, you will have to go for planning to change the windows. Ranjan talked about that this morning. That's not normally controversial, providing you work within the envelope, you don't raise the roof up, you work within it, providing you don't overlook other people's properties, providing you do it what we call in character, sympathetically, you'll probably be okay. So shall we, who wants to go first? Excellent. So who's going to present? Guy, excellent, thank you very much. You're not going to do it?
No, go for it then.
Damien, are you going to stand up and present? Just tell us what you've done. First of all, how many flats did you get in your scheme? 20. Who believes that? You're so polite. He's never got 20 in there. Do you think he's got 20? No. Yeah, absolutely. Come on, Damien, present your scheme. Or any comments that you're going to give us on this.
First comment was we don't know whether we get PD rights because we have it down as B8, which doesn't have PD rights.
Anyone else spot that it was... You can have a microphone, but please don't just sort of, big yourself up too much.
Big.
So Damien said they think it's B8. Anyone else look that up? Okay, but you think it's B8 use. So these guys, let's be honest, you guys were going to walk away. They went, it's B8, we can't do it. Do you know, if you look it up, it says it's B8 on the portal. But do you know what? It's not. Can you sit down, please, Sarah? It's just making the place look untidy. Unbelievable. She's been controversial. Now she's running around. What you don't want to believe is everything you read. Okay? You want to interrogate it. The actual use of this building, if anyone's looked it up, is a gym in there. There's some offices. It is not B8. B8 is storage. And actually, I can tell you a little trick. Most buildings are not B8. I had a chat with a planning consultant the other day, and I was chatting to them. And I said, do you know B8 virtually doesn't exist? Because most B8 buildings, in my opinion, are light industrial. Because light industrial is a building that's involving a light industrial process. Most buildings are not just storage. They might rebox, they do something. If you can justify it as a process, you can justify it as a B1C building or Class E, which is really important. I don't think this is B8. So I'm glad you continued. So do you want to unveil this great scheme that you've got here and show us these 20 units that we don't believe?
Okay, so that's the ground floor. We know that the
Do you like it where he went, that's a ground floor?
GF, ground floor. So we've got 10 units in the ground floor at 37 square metres each. And we know that the eaves are at about 8 metres.
Yep.
So we know we can get 2 floors and a mezzanine in. So that's the ground floor. These red arrows show where the natural light is coming in. And although these are overlooking a garden,
Yes.
we would have to put obscure glass in there.
So where's the main view? In here?
Yeah,
How wide's that?
it's I think between 3 and 4 metres.
Doesn't look like it.
It's not drawn to scale.
Well, I can see that. Tell me something I don't know.
So these are about 6 metres wide, and that's 3 metres.
So that's 6 and 6.
Yeah.
So that's 12. And then how many metres is there?
3.
3. Okay.
That's your 15 metres.
I know.
And then that's about 6.16 metres.
6.16. Okay. Who likes that? Oh, you got a question?
It was only 15 metres long, wasn't it?
It's 32 metres
32.
long.
No, I said be controversial, but we'll get your facts right. Don't start knocking it. Whoa, it's only 15 metres long. What are you talking about? Come on. Oh, look at this. What's that?
That's the side view, the what do you call it? The elevation.
Section? Elevation?
Elevation. So that's the ground floor we've just seen, and that's the first floor with perhaps a mezzanine floor there. And the roof has been opened up to bring natural light down the centre of the building.
So how much natural light do you think you're going to get all the way down here?
Enough.
They say loads. They say not much. So he says enough. You're not going to get enough natural light. And I actually can tell you there's not enough for 3 floors. But it's good. Round of applause. Round of applause. Who'd like to go next? What about this team here? What are they called? I can't remember what you guys were called. Oh, Sunshine. Who's going to come up and present your scheme up here?
This lovely lady here.
This lovely lady. Oh, that one, yeah. Jazz, come on then. Your microphone. You can't start talking till you've got the microphone.
Thank you.
Turn around, face the audience.
So I'm Jazz from Sunshine. And we
Hi,
had
Jazz.
10 that we could get in.
10?
Yeah.
How many did you get, guys? 20. Unbelievable. Just 10.
Not bad, not bad. And now, the way we looked at it was to do duplexes. So looking at the minimum space standard, it's 58 square metres for 1 bedroom duplexes. That would be the starting point if we can squeeze in more than we probably would. And what we did was we looked at it like a Swiss roll and just chopped it up. 3.2 metres by 15 metres. We've looked at it from the other side. So if you look at the drawing that you gave, there is one side where it's not as close to the boundary. So we thought we'll try and put the windows on that side. It might be less contentious.
I think it'd be contentious. Who thinks it'd be contentious?
Less contentious. Technically, they can't say anything about overlooking anyway. It's got to be about getting light in. So that's what we were focusing
Technically,
on.
they can. There is a privacy clause in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just angle the windows.
You could angle the windows, yeah?
Obscure the windows or angle the windows.
You don't obscure them because you don't want to look out. You want to see something, don't you?
So that was why we were thinking. If we put bedrooms on the downstairs,
Yep.
technically it's for nocturnal use. So we may get away with saying they don't really need a view at night. So that's
no,
why
you
we
won't,
would probably
because
put...
it's a habitable room.
We'd put bedrooms downstairs, and upstairs we would have roof lights, or that would be down the planning bit, dormers if they would allow that for later to make it look a bit prettier as well. So that would be how we'd fit 10 in. And the entrance, each door would be on the other side, where it's a bit closer to the fence.
Okay. Who likes that scheme?
My biased team.
That is team spirit. Let's all go down together. I like the fact that you've drawn an isometric. I mean, that deserves a round of applause, doesn't it? I mean, that's adequate, isn't it? That's quite adequate. I think that's good. You don't want Velux windows for your sitting room area. Okay, I just have to wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let's just wait for these guys to finish. You lot are a lively bunch, aren't you? Do you know this is the worst thing about working with a bunch of entrepreneurs? You all want to talk at the same time. You've got to get control of them. Get control of them. Because you were talking, weren't you? Unbelievable, you guys. So don't want roof lights up here, okay? Because all you can see is the sky. You want to be able to see a bit of greenery. So you don't want them up in the bedroom. And I don't think you'll be allowed windows on the outside. But it's good. Round of applause. Happy with that? Good stuff. Okay, what about the West Wing? They're a talkative bunch, aren't they? West Wing, who's going to come up and tell us about your scheme?
Yeah, very similar to theirs, obviously. Right, we've got 10 flats. Again, we divide it up 37 square metres.
10 flats?
Yeah, so we worked out that we put 37 square metres works out 10 flats, effectively 6 by 6.4. And we put the windows in, so it's quite a similar sort of deal. If we can get two mezzanine, like another mezzanine level, we would do.
But you just said 10, so you haven't. You can't say we would if we
That's
could.
because we thought that it was actually 4 metres, not 10 metres.
We procrastinated an awful lot, actually.
I noticed that. I kept wandering around.
Yeah, we did.
You
But
need
we
to
will
change the
do
name.
this deal because I worked out it's £210 a square foot, a resi price, and so it's about a value of 1.5 million, and it's 400 to buy it, and 50 grand a flat to work out to do it up. So it's a 600k profit in it. So
600k profit. He's done his numbers.
So, yeah,
Who believes
we'll
them?
do it. Yeah, who wants to? And I'm selling it. Anyone who wants to come.
Brilliant. Well, I think that's good. I mean, that's really nice. 10 flats. That's good. I mean, 10 flats is good, but we could get more, but we haven't worked that out yet. Round of applause. Round of applause. Northern Monkeys and Friends. Hang on a minute. So one of your team has deserted you.
Yeah. No, we've had 2 fail.
2. What are you doing over there? Why are you sitting?
Leading from the back.
We can see that. Who's going to... You talking?
Yeah.
You've been talking all day.
Well, I'm on there.
Come on. You can chat. What have you done? I mean, that's a top sketch.
So,
How many flats have you got in the scheme?
despite my civil engineering background, you may be amazed at this perspective drawing
Or maybe not.
and the fact it hasn't got an awful lot of detail on it. But very similar to everyone else, we believe there's an opportunity for 10 on the ground floor. Central spinal corridor, hadn't worked out staircases, access and so forth. Believe there's an opportunity for some form of mezz because the ridge height's up at 8 metres. Natural light, Veluxes either side to the first floor, Veluxes for natural light to the ground, and using the existing entrance stroke window opportunities around the ground floor.
Don't like Veluxes. And I think, I mean, the guy, he's saying here, this team are saying they've got 10 flats, but let's count them. 1, 2. So who believes, they just listened to you, that you said you had 10 flats. Oh, very similar to that team there, we've got 10 flats. No, you haven't, you've got 2.
There's a shortage of plasterboard and timber at the moment, obviously, so...
A shortage of ideas. So we could, they've just got 2 flats. Do we agree? There's only 2 flats there. That is a disappointing effort. I can't believe that. 2 flats. 2 flats. Okay, guys. Creative industries. Oh, my word. This is going to be embarrassing. Right, I need to move the flip chart around. Pull your chairs in because this man with the camera's got to see it. I'm not sure that there's going to be any real benefit of seeing this, my friend, on the camera. Let's move this one out of the way. Yeah, that is really good. So, this is a bunch of professionals here.
It's to scale.
So, yeah. What have you? First of all, how many flats have you got?
One massive one.
Yeah, 1 massive flat. How many did you get? How many did you get over there? 20. 1. Go on then.
Premium though, premium price.
Can you explain yourself?
Sorry, we had too many entrepreneurs and too much chatting. Basically, we had a table full of CEOs and nobody actually doing the work.
So you just lost the deal then.
Yeah. However, what we were deciding was treating it as pure MA. We couldn't cut any more doors in, so we were only going to use these doors here to get accesses into the flats. We were only going to use the ground floor for flats, and we were expecting to get 8 in there, but I haven't drawn it.
And mezzanine.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time, isn't it? All this expertise, and you got 8, but you've only drawn 1. Who wrote 8 up there? Did you just write that just then? When these guys got 2? Did you?
No, I didn't. I wrote it when they were doing theirs. You can see me behind that one.
I think it's okay. I mean, potentially there's 8 there, but it's a poor effort, isn't it? From a top table.
You can't put a corridor down the middle because of the fire. You're too far away from the fire and stuff. So
You can't put a corridor down the middle because of fire.
yeah, because you can just put one corridor, one entrance and stuff. So that's what we use.
Okay, fine. You've lost the deal then. That's no problem. Unbelievable.
I know.
Go on, sit yourself down. Let's just sit down. Can you guys? I can't remember. This is that you said. What's your team say? I've got
No effing idea.
no effing idea. Have a look at this. Look and learn. I tell you. Come on then. Look at this.
16,
Oh, look at
16 flats.
16.
Thank you very much.
It's not 20 though, is it?
It's not 20, but we can fit them in. We've actually put a staircase in, so you can get up to the top 8 floors.
Oh, Vic, I say it's not 20. No, but we can fit them in. Yeah. Go on then, Dan. Too many Dans around here today, but carry on.
Fairly self-explanatory. 4.
Well, not to this lot, it's not. They don't know what you're doing.
4 each side of the corridor. Second exit will be here, or it might be fire protected, we said. I can't remember. So anyway, 8 on the first ground floor, 8 on the first floor with this cutout roof to allow some lighting. We had assumed some Velux as well, and we'd also assumed you might be able to get use some of the existing windows in the ground floor.
Who likes that? They do, yeah. A little round of applause. I think you've done well there. I mean, I think that's good. Not too much round of applause. Not too much. I'm not sure quite what that is, but it looks interesting.
It's like a courtyard, so the top bit looks into...
Does it?
Yeah.
It's very nice. And do you see how quickly they wrote, look, ×2? Did you see them? They did write that just now? Yeah. Unbelievable. Okay, so last but not least, the East Anglian Angels. But we need to move your flip chart because this man on the camera needs to see it. So I tell you, can you carry your flip chart? It's going to be quite heavy, but you're going to be okay. Yeah. Just carry it up the front here. I've got a microphone. And do you know when they say you can save the best to last? We haven't done it this time. Okay, Sam, do you want to explain what you've done there?
Yeah, sure. So we basically come up with an idea of having 4 flats on the bottom floor and 4 flats on the first floor. We have a corridor down the middle.
So you've got 8 flats?
Yeah, 8 flats.
How many did you get?
2 bedrooms, though. Yeah.
Oh, 8 flat, 2 beds.
So we put corridor...
Sam, no one likes a smart ass. Okay?
We put the corridors in, so we've got exits either side, and we put the staircase in here so we get upstairs. And then we'll be using light tunnels, Velux windows, and Luther windows as well, which is Gary's idea.
Slopey shoulder, just in case that gets picked on. That was the best idea I've heard, actually. She should have claimed that as yours.
And then we did the figures quickly. So roughly, we've done some research in the area, and for a 2-bed flat, it's come out 160k. So that was given a GDV of 1.28. And then, obviously, purchase price 400, and development price was around about 520, so that was 920k. So yeah, you can see there's about 300k profit in the deal.
Excellent. Everyone like that? Confident presentation. Round of applause. Well done, Sam. Thank you very much. That's cool. Thank you all for taking part in that. Well done, Sam. Wasn't the best effort, Sam, but it was okay. I mean, it's all relative, isn't it? It's all relative. Look, thank you for taking part. Thank you for getting involved in that. The interesting thing is, it makes you think, what are we trying to do this afternoon? I want to make you think out the box. I want you to think about, remember I said earlier, it's not just finding a building, it's knowing what to do with that building. And I know I only gave you half hour or so. I've only got half hour left or so. I've got a clock, I'm all good, I'm okay. But actually, knowing how to do these things is important. Knowing what to do with them. Converting industrial buildings. Let me just take you through this. Some of you may have seen some of these slides before. Take this little building here. There it is, right in the middle of an industrial area. Okay, before I show you what we could do with Luton. Simple little building, nothing interesting at all about it. The sort of building that most people would ignore. That's what it looks like in an isometric. Look at that, slightly better than that. Not a lot, but it's slightly better. There it is, interesting building, nothing much to it. But what about that? Look at that, sheep in a field with a big building in the background. What's that got to do with anything? Well, I want to put that up there because I want you to think of two things when you want to convert an industrial building. The first thing is you put a building inside a building. These are the old airship hangars in Bedfordshire, where the Cardington 101 airship used to be held. Inside there is a 7-storey building. Sorry, they're a bit grainy, but I was involved in these as a research project. So we built full-size buildings, a timber, a concrete, and a steel building inside the hangar, and then we shut the doors. Some people said to me sometimes, they said, yeah, but why would you do that? There'd be no views. No one lived there. They were just test beds. But there's a concept of putting a building inside a building. That's what I want you to think about. And that sort of image will make you think. We're putting a building inside the building. Take the O2 or what it was, the Millennium Dome. They put buildings inside it. It's a big building. They just built buildings inside it. And when you take an industrial building and you've just got, you look up, you see the tin roof, you see the blockwork walls. They're not insulated. They're not cavities. But we're just going to put another building inside it. That's the beauty of converting industrial buildings. And you're not paying for stuff you don't need because there's nothing in there. So we take an old building like that and we're going to convert it. How do we do it? Well, the normal thing that most people do, and some of you have done that, you sort of do back-to-back apartments. So in there you go, there's 5 apartments. That's nice and simple, but it's not. Because that dotted line actually is the boundary. So we can't cross over. Now, some of you were thinking about coming in certain ways, and that's a good thing. You're thinking about that. How can you get into the building? But what on that building if it's landlocked? And I can tell you, most of these light industrial buildings are landlocked. I'm talking about light industrial buildings that are often built in residential areas, like this one, tucked around houses. So how do you get that to work? How do you actually get access? Because the problem there, the owners of flat 2, don't particularly like it when flat 4 has to walk through. They get a bit fed up. It's inconvenient. And what about light? Flat 4 has only got one window at the back, high level, frosted. Okay, flat 2, flat 3 is okay. Flat 3, flat 5 to the side, we can't get any windows because that's an access way. So that's the biggest problem. Some of you come up with that problem. A lot of you try to solve it. And the second thing, apart from a building inside a building, is you put a courtyard in. You drop courtyards into industrial buildings. This is how we solve these problems. And in fact, this actually applies. Ranjan was talking about deep retail buildings this morning. It's another concept. We drop courtyards into retail buildings as well. And once you drop a courtyard into that building, not only can you actually get access, because we can just walk down that courtyard and go into the individual flats, but now I've opened up light access throughout. I have what we call an inward-looking scheme. That's what you have to do with light industrial. You have to turn it into an inward-looking scheme. Yes, you're going to have to change the windows. Yes, we're going to take the roof off. But do you notice what I've done there? I've kept the roof profile. I've not extended up. A few of you said, could we extend it up? Well, you can under potentially under Class AA, depending on how many stories it's got, etc., etc. But you don't want to do that because that's difficult. Some permitted development rights do not get through. That is not going to be controversial because I'm keeping the profile of the building. And from ground level, it won't look a lot different. I'm just cutting some windows in it. And okay, yes, I'm going to change the roof. I'm probably going to re-render it. I might put some gates on the front. Guess what happens when I put gates on the front? Price goes up. Price goes up, at least 5%. It's a gated community. But it does. Simple little things. Put a couple of gates on. Might cost you £1,000, £2,000. The prices of those units will go up. But it's an inward-looking scheme. And that little scheme there, that simple little project would generate you £180,000. And show you a couple of examples. This was a scheme in Romford Rail Store, Gidea Park, that we converted years and years ago. And you can see, we've actually just took the roof off, but we left the structure. We left the trusses. Kept that as a feature. But what we've now got, we've got flats left, flats right. We've got a central corridor, which a lot of you were putting in. And that gets adequate natural light into all those rooms. And when you start looking at these industrial buildings, you can do all sorts of things. Think of sort of Manhattan loft type things. You can make really interesting structures out of these. And you're not just selling another box. If you're going to hold and rent them, they're more interesting to rent. You can charge a premium because they're interesting buildings. These aren't mine, but I love these pictures. These are great examples of what you can do in a very small courtyard. Look at that on the right. You can see there's a window halfway up the wall. What's beyond that? It doesn't really matter. Look at what we've created there as an environment in that industrial building, and indeed on the left, a little bit wider. But all the trusses, all the structure left in place. So the change of use is under the PD. That's the controversial bit. And of course, the change of elevations is not controversial. The building probably doesn't look a lot different. If you really want to go bigger scale, what about that? Starting putting modular buildings inside. Look at that first building we looked at. That's the sort of thing you can do. So going back to Luton, what did I do on Luton? Well, this is what I did on Luton. Guess how many flats I had? 16, I believe. That's my sketch. I literally left it as a raw sketch because I did this live once at a session with a group of people and did this exactly the same way. So here's my 16 flats. I've got 37 square metre flats, duplex apartments. I've got 8 down that side, 8 down that side. So I've got them down here and I've got them down here. That is my 2 banks of flats. Okay? That's how I put that together. If I go on to the next thing, what I did to get that in, just come back over here, is I did that. So what have I done? So I measured this a bit more accurately in a bit more time than you guys did. There's not quite enough room to get 2 stories. See, that's 1.5 metres. That's about the lowest you can go. You can start calculating some of the floor area beneath that, but you only get 50% of it. So what I actually did is I took the roof finishes off over that area. I created these duplex apartments. Okay, down one side, down the other. Because the staircases are dead area. So you have some staircases in the back. There's no value in staircases. Where the staircases can go in the apartments and they can count as part of the National Space Standards. You can count them as part of the area. Also, what I've done here, see what I've done there? I've just taken a little bit of chop of the roof off. Because the roof actually was up here. And some of you had that sort of left up here. I think this sketch, where do we have it? This one over here was left there. But you can't get adequate natural light. Whereas if I chop that little bit of corner off, I'm probably just about getting light down to the lower section. And from a planning perspective, does that look a lot different? It probably doesn't. Do you see how simple that type of approach is? Just playing around with it, knowing what to do. And then the individual flats, that's what I created. Little duplex flat, I worked that out. A bit more time than you had, but probably not a lot, but then I suppose I've been doing it a little bit longer. So that was my ground floor area. I had an entrance off of the courtyard. Had a little staircase that went up, kitchen down underneath, and a really nice 1 bedroom. It's a big 1 bedroom. Plenty of space in there. Yes, please. Can you put staircases on the outside? You can't without planning. So you're going to have to put planning permission in. So I could put them, if I wanted to put them down here, down the left or the right, there is possibility of doing that, but I don't think they're as attractive. And it's a whole load more structure. It's much cheaper to build a timber staircase internally and make them little duplexes. So that maximises the value. There's no dead space. All of the flats, you can see the habitable rooms here. There it is, the bedroom. It looks into the courtyard. There it is, the lounge. It looks into the courtyard. The kitchen there should be, because these aren't that deep, there's enough adequate natural light to get it to the back. So the scheme works. Just taking that simple approach, carving it up. So if I go back to the floor plan, let me just dive back to here. I don't believe down the left and the right of the building, as we saw it on plan, I don't believe you're going to get any windows. Okay? I don't believe you'll be allowed to do that, other than some high-level windows that are frosted. I think you could do that. But other than that, I think that would be a controversial thing. There is a bit of parking down here, but I think down here I couldn't. So all of that becomes a courtyard. And I can do that in all sorts of different profiles. This is the way I carve buildings up. If I had a long shop, let me just show you that as an example, because I think it's important to see these. If we take, let me just take a new sheet on here. So do you remember one of the drawings that Ranjan showed us this morning? He showed us a large shop, a long, deep shop. So we actually had a shop, so maybe the high street's down here. Just put that a bit thinner. And he had a very long, deep shop. Do you remember he had that this morning? And he said he likes those with long, deep footprints. The difficulty is, how do you get light in there, particularly when these might be in a terrace? So there might be other shops either side. So you can only get light here let's change colour. So you can only get light here at the back coming in. How do you get light into this central section? That's a problem. Well, it's not if you adopt this theory of putting courtyards in. So if we actually down here, if we say what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to drop a hole down through that building in there, right the way down. You'll see this if you go into central London, central Birmingham, Manchester. A lot of terrace, high-value retail buildings have done this. They drop natural light in. They drop courtyards in. So then what I've got is I've got the ability for this apartment here, wherever I frame it around it, to get into that courtyard. If I need to, I could drop another one in here. They don't take up a lot of space. These could be quite small. I could even, if I wanted, I could put a little bit of greenery down the middle so these people here aren't looking at those people there. Do you see this solution of courtyards? Unlocks a lot of buildings that you might not look at, or that you only think you can get so many units into it, and someone says, I can get a lot more. Really important stuff. Let me go back to this. Okay. Any other questions on that Luton thing? Would you like to see the money, if not the numbers? Question.
Adding that courtyard, doesn't that change the appearance?
Is it okay to repeat the question for the...
I can repeat the question. So the question was?
Adding the courtyard, doesn't that substantially change the appearance?
So if you add the courtyard, does that change the appearance of the building? Yes, it does, but it's in character. Okay, so this is the thing you've got to look at. We talked earlier, and I think Ranjan talked about it. I think Andy talked about having a meeting with his planning consultant every week or every 2 weeks. I can't remember. He said, have a chat with them. They'll tell you what's likely you're going to get away with or not. So if I'm going to keep that in character, so I think that building from the street won't look a lot different because they've kept the roof profile. I'm not raising it up. I'm not lowering it. In fact, I think it'll look better. Was there another question?
It was exactly the same though.
Same question. Unbelievable. He says that, but I don't think it was.
I just wanted to know that you've done that all under PD rather than a mixture of planning.
Now, it has to be, so it's really important that you know, to say this again, permitted development rights only gives you the authority to change the use.
Because that's what we were struggling with initially when we were doing this this exercise, is that you said just use PD and we couldn't get it to work.
I know. I wasn't fair, was I? No. But it's not a fair world, is it? But the important thing is you have to go for planning for any elevational changes. When do you put that in? That was a question I think you guys might have raised, or someone did. When do you put that in? You could go for a planning permission first on the building here to say, I want to change the roof on my industrial building and I want to change it into 16 separate industrial units and put windows in. That's one planning application. I could do that and I could get that in place. Then, easy sweep, PD, straight across. But that will take you longer. It might take you 8 weeks, might not be too controversial, then you've got 56 days. And by the way, 56 days is not how it used to be. Let me just make sure and manage your expectations. 56 days is they are obliged to come back. They don't have to. The rules used to be if they didn't come back in 56 days, you had automatic permission. You don't now. Okay? If they ask for an extension, you probably should let them have it. So just be careful of that. But you could also put your permitted development application in, and they might condition it. So they might say, yes, we are going to approve it, but on the basis it's conditioned. You have to show us that you can get adequate natural light in. So they can do that. What I would say we're planning consultants. There are two types of planning consultants in this world. There are the very creative national ones, and then there are the very creative local ones. And I think you need a combination of both. Okay? So no disrespect to the national ones. The national ones, people that work across the country, I think are really good people that you want to have in your team. You want to have in your armoury, because they're the ones that often, people that you'll see at events like this, they're the ones that will be out there being creative. But sometimes it's the local ones that know how the local planning officers will think, and they know which way you need to do your planning application. Shall we have a look at some numbers? Yep. Not a very enthusiastic lot there, are you? You're waiting for your break. It's okay, you're going to have a break soon. Here are some basic numbers that I very, very quickly put together. So I'm just going to go through this very quickly. This is a sheet that we use just to analyse deals. So it was 400,000, 16 units. It's the right number, isn't it? Perfect. These guys, I think, crept up and had a look at this. 16 units. You purchased it for 400,000. There's a bit of solicitor's fees, a bit of stamp duty. £413,000 to purchase. I then estimated it was £1,200 a square metre to refurbish that building. Okay, just estimated that based on the area of 592 square metres, which is 16 times 37 square metres, I come up with a cost of £710,000. I put 10% contingency in, and then I calculated some other fees. Development management fee. Anyone know what that is? You're not allowed to say anything, Damien, so don't put your hand up.
That's the fee you pay yourself as you're doing.
Yes, absolutely. Everyone know that? Did everyone know you could pay yourself a fee at the development? Anyone not know that? Anyone not care anymore? Anyone losing the will to live? Yeah, you can pay yourself a fee. Not all funders will do this, but some funders will let you. So if you need a bit of cash flow, you can do that whilst it's on site. Then I just estimated various other fees. I've put some SAPs in. Anyone know what SAPs is?
It's the previous part of EPCs, so your energy calculations.
What's it stand for?
I couldn't tell you.
Oh, I thought that was going to be a clean sweep. Standard assessment procedures, yeah, it's all your energy calculations, water calculations, etc. I got some project management in there. I've got some warranty costs. I've got a CDM coordinator. I've got some building regs. I've got a bit of asbestos cost. There might be some of that in there. So I've worked that lot out. I've just ignored VAT and accountancy at the moment. I've said the project's going to run for 14 months. I've got some interest there at 0.8% a month. I've split that up. And by the way, I think Ranjan mentioned it this morning. If you've got permitted development rights, okay, you will get up to 70% of the funding of the purchase and 100% of the development costs, including all the professional fees. So it's important to get funding in this place. I've worked this out. I reckon 148,000 a flat, about 4,000 square metre. That might be right, might not be, but I just had a quick play at that. I also put some cost in for freehold. Some people go, oh, freeholds, they're going to scrap them. Don't worry about it, okay? Because at the moment, you're going to compare apples with apples. At the moment, most of the prices you look at for flats are leaseholds. So if they become freeholds, because I have to sell the freehold, the value of the flats will go up. So I put that in there. 2.4, it makes 26% profit, £639,000. Who likes that deal? And do you know the interesting thing about that deal? That's a question, by the way. It was an answer I was after.
Go on.
Huh?
Go on.
Go on?
Yeah.
Well, that was, go on. Do you know the interesting thing? Go on. Well, the interesting thing about that deal is it's on the market. It's for sale. It's still available. It's on Zoopla, I believe. And it was yesterday. So if any of you are bright sparks, you should be looking at that. Now, maybe there's a reason why it doesn't work. I don't know. But I've done things like this with buildings before, and some people are going, oh, yeah, I can't find anything. What about that one I showed you the other day? Oh, I didn't look at that. Was it any good? Some of these things are still out there. I think it's going to put some people off because the B8 description, who looked it up? Did you look it up on Nimbus or Land Insight? Nimbus. It sweeps information. It's not always correct. And actually, you can justify, as I said, I think that is not B8. You can justify that by its use. You can see there's a gym in there. That's not B8. That's Class E. All day long. So I think some people are just walking away from it. And most people don't know now what you know, how to convert these buildings. So when we talk about it, treasure hunt looking for gold, that's what it's about. It's about looking for the opportunity that other people can't see. I think industrial conversions is particularly important in terms of your armory of what you're trying to do. Because that type of scheme with 16 flats, selling it on to the type of people that you want to sell it on to, is great. I'd imagine some of the uses that we're looking at here for supported living, a gated community would be really important. Would add value and interest maybe to those end users because of the security. Would it, Mark? Yeah? So I think these types of buildings, knowing how to convert these, when you can pick them up a lot cheaper because the competition isn't there. I mean, I do think the retail space that Ranjan was talking about this morning is great. It is another good opportunity. Is that space more crowded than this one? Yes, sure it is. Because be honest, how many people here really didn't know how to convert those buildings before today? Most of you. I mean, I only Googled the stuff last night. But you see how important it is. So, what have we done today with you rowdy lot? Well, I've talked about small-scale property development. I've talked about achieving the success, operating as a CEO. I wanted to put that in. I don't want you to lose that thought. I don't want you to think about strategy. If you're going to be a developer, be a developer. When we train developers, we train them 3 legs of the stool. Property, we train them business, and we train them mindset. And I'm glad there was some mindset stuff here today and the rapport and that sort of thing, because most people say, oh, I don't need all that mindset stuff. But they do. Everyone needs that. Everyone needs to get those things unblocked. And most people who start on this journey don't have a clue how to run a business properly, particularly a development business. Give me the property stuff. Give me all that. Tell me about PD rights. Do not get just stuck on a strategy. Think of yourselves as developers. Think of yourselves as the Richard Branson of this world. Get yourself an island, I don't mind. Become a CEO. Remember that point about getting that credibility? Massively important. And then small scale. Hopefully you get what I'm talking about small scale. I sincerely don't want you to fail. And a lot of you will if you don't listen. Because a lot of people go big really quickly. And I remember an architect once who you think would be experienced as a developer, got into development. This was way back before the 2008 crash, way back. And then he just got so good at it. But he was in a rising market. And any old fool can make money in a rising market. Okay? And he went out there, and then he put his own house, his mum and dad's house on, and he lost the lot. It almost broke him. Financially, it broke him. And that's someone in the industry. Yeah. You know, we talked about that earlier. So please, just think about small scale. You can earn a lot of money just sticking in this space. It is a safer space to be. And all of the PD rights are in your favour to support you. So please stick to that. Go for this permitted development. If in time you see an opportunity that requires planning, have it in parallel. But if you're looking for a planning scheme, someone else over there has done a PD scheme and they're probably on their second. So don't have it as a key thing. You know, you're going to lose the will to live, battling with planners. I'd rather put a couple of pens in my eye like that. They're horrendous people. So please go for permitted development. And that looking for gold, I just wanted to open your eyes. I wanted you to think about looking at properties differently. You've got to know where to find it. You've got to know how to sweat the asset. Now, the difficulty is because I've been doing this 40 years. So you go, how do I do that? How do I get to that point? You need to know how to block plan. I got you today, without a lot of guidance, block planning. Picking up a scale rule, most people look at the damn thing, some of us will stir in their tea with it. But you need to know this stuff. You need to know how to block plan a building. You need to know how to sweat the asset. Architects aren't there to block plan for you. Because most architects are not entrepreneurs. They're creative people. Do all this sort of stuff, don't they? Any architects in the room? Can't see any waving their arms around. I'm an engineer, so I'm supposed to be an analytical person. I'm not really, but architects are doing all this. They're not the entrepreneurs. They're not pushing the boundaries. They're not sweating the asset. They're not saying, I need that extra flat. Get good at this stuff. Push it then to your architect and get him to make it real for you. This is where you get great advantages. I mean, I guess, did you find that useful? 2 hours. Well, I had less than 2 hours because you lot were late back from lunch. But I'm still going to finish on time because I'm that sort of guy. So if you're interested, I have something that might help you, okay? And you might be surprised how little this will cost you. But if you're interested, if you want to know a bit more, now, this is not going to be a good sell because it involves spending 3 days with me. A few eyebrows went up there. I'm not going to point at who, but a few eyebrows went up. Really? If you want to come and spend 3 days online with myself and Ian, okay, dip your toe into our world a little bit more, then you are more than welcome to come and join us. We run this session every month. I'm going to give a complete run-through of what we call the 8-pillar framework. It's a system. Development is a system, like a McDonald's. Any old fool can run a McDonald's. You just get the manual. Development, in a way, is like that. It's not easy, but you need to know the system. We will take you through the 8 pillars. And not surprisingly, it starts with credibility right at the beginning. And I'll take you through the whole lot of what it means, what it's about, how this system works. I can't teach you development in 3 days, and some of you already know it. For some of you, there might be a few golden nuggets on here that you never knew. For others, if you're at the beginning of your journey, then maybe you're going to get a huge amount of information. You're not going to learn the whole ins and outs of development, but you're going to get a huge amount of information on the 3 days. And we will actually have some live deals being analysed. We run it on a Thursday and a Friday and a Saturday, and on a Saturday we analyse deals, just like we were doing now. But people bring in deals. We ask people to send in deals, we pick a selection and have a look at them. That's the way you start to get this experience, to see deals on the table. Sometimes I panic because I don't know what's going to come, but they just send it to me and I have a look at it, open it up on screen and go, oh, what do I do with that? I can talk for a while, then just think about it and then go for something. But that's what you've got to do. You've got to see lots of deals analysed. So we will be analysing some deals. We will give you some templates to start your journey if you don't have those. The deal analysis template that I just had up on the screen just now, we will give you that because we'll teach you how to analyse a deal on those 3 days if you'd like to come and join us. If you're interested, unfortunately, Guy and his cohorts twisted my arm, locked me in a cupboard, said I had to do some deal. So there is a fairly good deal out there for you guys, but I'm genuinely happy to support this organisation. Really happy, really pleased to be here. So we have done something which we've never done before to support people on this 3-day workshop. If you are interested, my colleague Dan's here. Dan, give people a wave. He's not a very good-looking chap, but he is here. My colleague Dan, who's a developer in his own right. Dan, what do you develop? Land acquisition. That's why he looks stressed. That's why he has time to work with me. If you're interested to know what we do on that 3 days, Dan will be out in the foyer after the break and later on this evening. Please have a chat with Dan. You might be surprised what we can do with you. Come and spend 3 days with us. That's me done. I think I'm pretty much on time. Thank you very much.